Welcome back, guys. I know the new ARK survival game has been released, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how you can beat it 100% on alpha difficulty in the max settings and whatnot, right? So this video is going to apply to most of y'all because this is going to be showing you guys the worst case scenario and how to beat it. So without wasting any of your time, let's get into the first initial step, which is actually spawning on the map and doing what's necessary. So what you want to do is you want to spawn on the map, get the initial resources, stuff like stone, whatever, get all your hatchets, get yourself an initial tame, preferably a moss chops or a parasol or whatever you can get knocked down that collects berries. Moss chops is really good because it collects fiber too. If you can find the moss chops, and they're quite easy to tame as well, as long as they don't ask for something like raw fish prime meat or raw prime meat, because that's quite hard to get at the start. So once you have yourself a berry gatherer, what you want to do now is you want to try and kill as many dinos as you can get to get some meat. And the reason we need meat is we can split the meat, each piece is individually in our inventory, so it'll spoil faster as spoil into a lot of spoiled meat. And the reason why we want to do that is so we can make narcotics, and the reason we got a berry gatherer is so we can get narco berries to make the narcotics in the Moa and Peso. The reason we need narcotics is because you need to be able to tame certain, so this game's all interlinked to each element, and this is why it's so important to do stuff in stages. So once you have a lot of narcotic, we want to just be able to tame flies such as pteranodons, get a crystal and get spyglass going. Spyglass is really important because then now we can scout for high level dinos, especially stuff like rexes, because we don't want to get too close to them. So what we can do is just use the spyglass from far away and see what level they are, and if you want to avoid it or tame it, for example. But at this stage we don't need to tame a rex, so I don't even know why I said that. I'm just giving you guys an example. What you want to do now is just slowly progress into the game, try get as much metal as you can, go into the smithy, go into the crossbow era, and once you're at the crossbow, now you can start actually taming the big dogs, because the crossbows do a lot of torpor compared to bows and they don't break as easily. So that's the reason we want a crossbow. And now at this stage, what you want to do is you want to go into like the mountainous area and try to trap yourself for Argentavis. You can search up easy traps on YouTube. I'm gonna put one on the screen right now, which is just 4 dinosaur gateways. Lure it in, place the gate at the end and close it in and just knock it out. That's pretty much the easiest one to do. There are other ones if you feel like this is too much, but I'm just gonna give you guys an example, right? And you want to knock it out, and after you knock it out, you want to of course tame it. The effectiveness doesn't matter. Argentavis is Argentavis. The reason why these guys are insanely good and possibly one of the best creatures in the whole entire game is because you are able to fly with them. That's the A, and B, you can actually, it'll reduce the weight of any like resource by 50%. So if you got 100 crystal that weighs 100, it will reduce it to 50. And same with metal, same with obsidian, same with most resources in the video game, which is insane. So you can carry double the stuff that you can normally carry with any other fly in the game. And these guys have an insane amount of weight as well, insane amount of HP, and a good amount of melee if you pump it in. And they do have, if you kill something and harvest a corpse with it, they'll gain extra HP. And this is the dino that you're gonna spend most time with. So initially it's okay to get a low level one, but after it makes getting the high level one easier because you're able to scout with it, because you're able to fly. And these guys have good amount of stamina as well. I've got that point, and these guys have a really good amount of stamina compared to a pteranodon, for example, which is not as good. Now that you have Argentavis, you can get a ton of metal because you can go up to the mountains, easily harvest it and get it down. You can also pick up Ankies, you can pick up Dodicaruses. Those are the only 2 that you really need. So I would start with the Anki possibly, get an Anki, and an Anki reduces the metal weight by 75%. So a 300 piece of metal would weigh 300 in a normal person's inventory, but in an Anki will weigh 45. So you can get 4 times the metal you normally would get and carry it. So what you want to do is you want to get an Anki, pick it with the Argentavis, go to a mountain, harvest all the metal you can, pick it up with the Argentavis and bring it back and dash it into your forges. And you can carry on doing this process quite a lot and you'll get a ton of metal basically. Now the next stage, since you do have an Argentavis with a decent amount of weight to be able to be doing this, I would suggest you moving bases to your next mountain. So like I would prefer the Giga Mountain, I believe you call it, and that's the small mountain next to the volcano. So to the right of the volcano there's a mountain where there's a ton of resources, and this is where I built my base, and this is where I've been building my base even in Evolved. It's a really good spot because there's so much metal, there's so much obsidian, so much crystal, there's dinos everywhere, Argentavis, so you can easily find and scout, and it's the middle of the map and it's close to the snow, which will be important. What I want you guys to be doing is doing the artifact caves as well. So the artifact caves are about, I think there's 8 caves in total, and you gotta traverse through all of them, the snow cave being the hardest. There's 2 snow caves, one of them is really hard, and for that one I would just suggest bringing the best team you can have. Since you can use cryopods in caves, you can even bring Giga in there, try to kill it, but that's only for like the big holes. It's quite confusing, so I suggest you guys watch a YouTube video on that. But once you completed that, other caves are pretty easy. You just need good amount of armor and a good shotgun, a decent tame such as a saber-tooth or a direwolf, and you can just go in there and absolutely destroy all the cave creatures. And megatherium is a really good creature for the swamp cave because you get insane amount of chitin, which can be turned into cement paste with stone. And hopefully by now you will have a Doedicurus, because Doedicurus give you insane amount of stone by just hitting, and of course they got a 75% reduction of stone too, so you can carry insane amount of stone. And now you got 2 utility dinos. Now the only utility that you're missing is wood. For that I would suggest a mammoth or a therizinosaur, preferably a mammoth, because a mammoth reduces the weight by 50% of wood, whereas a theri doesn't. However, if you are lacking in the fiber, then of course a theri is the ideal option because they can gather a ton of fiber, crazy amounts, but they're quite hard to knock unless you got a trap for them, of course, because they lose torpor like crazy. Now we're on to like mid game, and what the next stage of this game is to find Rexes. Rex is a big part. This is how you're gonna beat the bosses itself. So what you want to do is you want to be taming and you want to be scouting out for Rexes throughout your whole time playing the game, right? You want to find the highest level Rex you can find and you want to tame it, and whatever gender it is, so the male or female, you want to find the opposite gender with the highest level. So let's say you find a 150 male and then now you find a 140 female, make sure to tame that female. However, if you do find another 150 male, just tame that too. The reason for this is because one can have better stats than the other. For example, one male can have 450% melee while the other male will have 500% melee, which means you gotta just prefer and breed with the 500% melee because it's gonna give the better babies basically. So that's how the game works. When you have 2 parents, there's an equal amount of chance they'll get the worst stats or the better stats. And what you gotta do is when the baby pops out, you gotta compare the stats and you wanna only grow up the baby that has the good amount of stats. The stats that are not good enough, you can unimprint the baby and you can kill it with one of your Rexes to gain insane amount of levels, because the levels you gain is equivalent to killing a wild Rex. So you just kill the baby, you get insane amount of levels, and it will prepare you for, it will make the Rexes stronger for the boss fight. And what you want to do is you want to repeat this process for about 15 Rexes. Make sure you're 100% imprinting them too, and make sure that you're like feeding them whatever, make sure you're leveling them up into HP. I would suggest about 25k to 30k HP on each Rex. The reason for this is because I play on 150 level settings, by the way, so my max level is 150. If your max level is lower, then of course go lower than that because you physically can't go higher. The reason I like 25k to 30k is because the dragon fast fight is quite hard and the broodmother does a ton of damage, so of course having a decent amount of HP is really good. And the rest of the levels of course into melee. You don't need to put anything in stamina because you're not going to be riding, and the dinos, if you're not riding, they don't drain stamina, so dash everything into melee to do a good amount of damage output. And now while you're doing these artifact caves, hopefully by now you would have found a blueprint for a Rex saddle, and you want to find a decent amount of blueprint that is really good and doesn't cost too much hide or metal or fiber. And once you found that blueprint, what you want to do is you want to just craft 15 of them. And before you go straight crafting, you want to use a mind wipe tonic, and you want to mind wipe so you lose all your levels. I mean, you don't lose all your levels, your levels get unequipped into the sections you put into, so then now you can put all the levels into crafting skill. And after you put all your levels into crafting skill, you want to craft all those 15 saddles, and you're gonna have insane armor on them because you get a crafting skill bonus. And since you're probably around level 105 by now, you're gonna get around 1000 plus crafting skills, so you're gonna get really good saddles. and that's really important because saddles reduce the amount of damage taken from dinos. We're gonna keep that in mind because it's gonna be really important for the dragon boss fight, for example. Finally, now you're basically near the end game. You're about to start fighting, and the last thing you need is a Uranus. You need a good level Uranus because that's the ride you're gonna be riding on, and you want to tame it, and then of course kill the baby Rexes with it so you can level up. And you want to put all the levels into stamina so you can you can courage roll, my bad, as much as you can, and then make sure you put it to HP too. And that's pretty much it. There's an optional dino that you can get is Deodon with lots of food in it, so you can heal the Rexes, but it's optional and you don't need to have it. So now let's move on to the boss fights. There's basically four boss fights, and the first one is the broodmother, and the broodmother is you gotta ride yourself on a UT, of course, and when that broodmother is right in front of you, you're gonna whistle attack that target. You don't want to whistle attack my target, you want to whistle attack this target. The reason for that is because if you, like, let's say it's a Aurelio next to you and you start hitting it, the Rexes will stop hitting the broodmother and start hitting your target, which is a new one. So you want to just hit that target, and it has to be the broodmother. And you want to just courage roar while they're fighting in the back. You want to just carry on roaring and just give it a more boost, more melee boost, and that's pretty much it. Just wait for your Rexes to kill it. The megapheticus has less HP than the broodmother, so it's easier to kill, it's faster to kill, however it does a bit more damage. So once your Rexes are fully healed up, you want to just spawn in the megapheticus, and the Rexes will be spawned in the boss arena on this like a circular platform, and there's a bridge going down, and you don't want to make your Rexes follow you at this point. Just leave your Rexes where they are, and you want to go with your UT, go down the bridge, and then go to the right and shoot the megapheticus, get his attention, and then lure it into your Rexes. The reason for this is because if one of your Rexes falls or either on the left or the right of the bridge, it's over, it's instant death. You don't want to do that. That's why you bring the megapheticus there so none of your Rexes die, and that's really important. And that's again, make sure to whistle attack that target because there's minions and you don't want to like make your Rexes stop attacking the actual boss. So now the two bosses have done, you got a decent amount of element. I reckon you can craft like a couple of sets of tech gear and use it, and it's quite handy to do that because you can fly around. But now we're going to do the dragon boss fight, and this dragon boss fight is still one of the hardest boss fights in the whole game, and the reason for this is the dragon breath does 25% of damage every time to your dino, so 5 hits, your dino's dead. So the strategy is to kill it as soon as possible, and I would recommend a Deodon for this fight because it will carry on healing the dinos. And you want to try and get 10 sweet veggie cakes on each of one of your Rexes, as when they eat it, the HP goes up by a turn, so they won't die into 5 hits from the dragon boss fight. Also, you gotta avoid the lava in the boss arena as it does damage per second, so that's just gonna kill your dinos even faster. And apart from that, you're just trying to kill it as fast as possible. And also, side note, the dragon does do damage through the rider, also make sure that you have healing brood and good armor so you don't get one shot, because that's happened to me once and it sucks. So make sure that doesn't happen. And now that you completed the three bosses on alpha, the next stage is to complete the tech cave on alpha. And again, this is one of the hardest things to do as a solo player, so make sure be mentally prepared. So what you want to do is you want to have really good armor, preferably a tech gear with the whole tech suit with element in your inventory so you can power the tech suit. The reason for this is because for your helmet you can see the dinos with outline, so it's easier and you don't miss a dino. And also you can fly around if needed, and this will be important for the overseer. And what you want to do is you want to have really good pump action shotgun, not really good, the best one you can get, and decent amount of shotgun ammo. I would say around 200 shotgun ammo. And what you want to do is you want to make sure you create a line of your dinos outside the cave following each other, so when you move one they all just follow down like a line basically. What you want to do is you want to initially, when you start the teleport, you're going to have 10 minutes to bring them all in, and you got 1 hour to finish the whole boss fight. So what you want to do is you want to initially go in with Rexes, clear this area out, kill all the hostiles in front of you, and then start bringing your dinos in. Bring as much as you can, and preferably keep all the Rexes alive through the cave. You want to just go through the cave, just carry on following them around, killing everything in your way except for Gigas and Conches. Those guys are deadly. So what you want to do is you want to try and lure them into the lava. So if you lure them into the lava, they won't attack you, so they'll just die to the lava, as lava does DPS. And apart from that, it's really hot in the thing, so make sure you just get like canteens, lots of water, and that's pretty much it. At the end, you're gonna see a blue portal-ish, and when you go through it, it's gonna be a blue area. And when you're in that blue area, you're basically near the end, and there's gonna be a teleporter. You're gonna get all your dinos in that circular motion, teleport whatever's left, teleport, and there's gonna be the overseer, and the island map is gonna be below you. And this is where you've done 50% of your work. You gotta just do the last 50%, which is to kill the overseer. You're gonna follow the path down, and you're gonna see the overseer initiate the fight. And at this point, just make sure that all your dinos, just whistle them to attack that target. If you got a UT alive, again, courage roll, and if not, then just be on a Rex and kill all the other stuff while your Rexes kill the overseer. The overseer will turn into previous bosses you have beaten the island, so broodmother, dragon, megapheticus, and it will have their attacks and buffs. So for example, with the dragon, it will have a dragon breath, and again, you gotta kill it as fast as possible. It does have a shield in between the transformations, so once you attack it, it will do no damage to the overseer, so it delays the fight. And this is quite annoying because as long as it delays the fight, the more damage your dinos take. And if your dinos die and the overseer is close to death, you can start flying with your tech suit if you have one and shotgunning it, and you can carry on doing this infinitely and you'll probably beat it. And if you beat it, you'll ascend and gain extra levels onto your character. Of course, on alpha you're gonna gain about 15, and that's pretty much it for the island. And congratulations, you've completed the island now, and now you gotta complete the other maps such as Aberration Scorch, Genesis Part 1, Genesis Part 2, and yeah, it's a long story.